Good morning, how are we doing? One criticism that I often hear by friends, family, and sometimes clients is you're always banging on about emotions. What's all that about? Do you have any better techniques to help people with? And that might be a fair criticism to make. My point is, however, that emotions are a crucial way in which we non-verbally express how we feel. Now, if you think about pain, and what's the point of pain? The point of pain is that it signals to our brain, signals to the whole system that something is wrong in that particular locality. So often we are so concerned by not hurting physically, but actually the problem isn't the pain itself. The pain is just a signal that there's a part of the body where something is going on. Now imagine if you had, for example, and you didn't feel any pain at all, and you put your hand in a fire by mistake. Now that whole limb could actually burn and be disembodied, and you wouldn't feel a thing, and therefore you lose physical integrity because there was no signal to tell you that something was happening. So pain in itself isn't a bad thing. It's a signal that something isn't right. Now, at the emotional level, that's what emotions do. They communicate the fact that the system isn't happy, or indeed that the system is absolutely delirious with joy, depending on what it is. So it's a very powerful non-verbal way of communicating how our well-being or lack thereof. So actually dealing with emotions is incredibly important in my view, because they signal that something isn't right and we need to address that. So if you are very concerned at the fact that you don't want to be a hysterical or overly emotional or whatever society tells you shouldn't be, and you're trying to hide those emotions, two things happen. Firstly, it takes a lot of effort. Now imagine if you have a ball that you're trying to push and keep underwater. Now the natural instinct, just physics, is that ball is trying to rise to the surface because that's what it does, right? That's what, the air buoyancy and all the rest of it. We won't go into the physics of it, but that's what it does. Now similarly, emotions are trying to rise up. You are trying to communicate to the world that you're unhappy, for example. So the more you're trying to keep those emotions kind of penned in, like deep down, and just bury them there, then the potentially the more unhealthy the whole system becomes, because they're trying to suppress something which is very meaningful. So two things happen if we actually validate those emotions. Firstly, we'll let that ball rise to the surface. We'll let all that pressure, that weight, that unhappiness to come out, and we can talk about it, right? Yes, it's not going to change the situation potentially, but it will feel a lot better if you actually allow yourself to feel those things and to express those things. That's one. And two, it takes a lot less effort to express those emotions than trying to bury them deep down. So part of my work isn't to try to make you feel different or actually not to feel anything. Quite the contrary, is for us to correctly understand what we're feeling, why we're feeling that way, to identify those emotions and to validate those emotions. That's a much healthier way of coping with things in general. Have a good weekend now.